talking to the director of the Tennessee State University Marching Band, Mr. Edward Graves. And of course, Prof, the last 6 minutes that we have here, let's give you an opportunity to talk about some of the things that you feel that our audience ought to know this morning about what you are trying to accomplish, some of your goals, your objectives, and some of the things that you try to do with your students. Those are quite a number of things to try to talk about in 6 minutes, but within that framework, you know, to kind of freely give us that kind of information.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the people that are working with us now. We on our staff. We're very fortunate to have a very outstanding staff of dedicated educators. Right now we have Mr. Kevin Davenport, who's our Associate Director of Bands, a 1984 Tennessee State University graduate. Had some very good success in public schools before we were able to get him to come here. Mr. Thomas Davis, who's been with us at Tennessee State for about 22 years, I believe, who works with our band and teaches percussion at the university. Mr. James Sexton, who's a Tennessee State graduate also, that's on our staff, that does primarily responsible for arranging for the band, a very fine arranger and dedicated musician. We have Mr. Charles Dungy, who's working with our jazz program. Mrs. Judy Gentry, that does the majorettes. And we have Michelle Allen, who's a recent Tennessee State graduate that serves as our secretary. What we try to do is much more involved in band than what the people see.
Good.
This is an activity that we see these students have decided themselves this is something they want to do. And we've been able to, very fortunate to get a very group of very talented students, 30% of which are honor roll students at Tennessee State University. And they achieve this during the busiest time of the year. So we try to use this as a character building activity for them because of the fact this is something they chose to do and this is not what they really came to Tennessee State for. They have to understand that they have to take the same values that they take from that practice field in the band rehearsal room to the history class, and some of them in your classes, the math classes, and everything that they came here to do. We have a number of students that are engineers. We have students in the band program that are in every academic discipline over there, and they do well. We're fortunate, as I said, to get students from a lot of different areas of the country, and it's a problem for us because of the fact that whatever amount of money we have for scholarship,
you don't have enough.
It's not enough. So we don't have full scholarships. Our average scholarship for a student is $1,000 a semester. And we're constantly looking and begging and pleading for people to please help us to be able to bring these talented youngsters from all over the country and from Tennessee. Majority of our students are from Tennessee, by the way. And we want to continue to build this with and pass these values on to these students because they have to understand they are representing Tennessee State University, which has a wide web of alumni all over the world, the state of Tennessee, Nashville, and themselves. And we try to teach them the values of respect, self-respect, and respect for others, pride in the university, pride in the organization, and pride and support for one another. And these are the things that we have to build. We say all the time that there's no I in band. So, you know, and the only thing that we have to do is to play some music and to march up and down that field. And in the process of doing so, we want to build a great deal of love and respect and all these good things that would cause them to be able to graduate from Tennessee State University and be very productive citizens in society. You know,
in terms of financing the band, you mentioned that the average student receives about $1,000. Now, what are some of the methods and some of the things that the band over the last minute that we have are using now in terms of trying to increase the amount of money that might come into the university for scholarships for the band? I mean, what are some of the things that you would like to see happen?
Well, what we'd like, of course, first thing, there's in process right now a group of people in Nashville, a band alumni, that are forming a band alumni group, association, or whatever they're going to call it, to give us that basic support that we need for primarily for scholarships. And we would like to encourage more people to support students. And that I think that's the biggest thing that we can do, is to get others to support our students, to encourage them. Of course, some of them are receiving other types of academic scholarships and federal financial aid in addition
to the $1,000.
To the $1,000, yeah. And some of them, some students get a little more, that ones that don't qualify for anything else. And so we try to we beg and borrow, you know, to bribe Peter to pay Paul.
Okay,
and,
okay.
And do whatever it takes to get a student in school.
And Professor Graves, let me thank you over this last minute that we have here for coming by and just giving us that excellent information about your background and some of the things that were important in helping to lead you to Tennessee State University as the director of the Tennessee State University Marching Band. I think that any person who had an opportunity this past week to see that band in action, and as we've said, we've seen it time and time again, but I think that the win that the university had over Jackson State, coupled with the performance of the band and the ability of those young people to simply get out in front of 65, 70,000 people and to perform as if they're performing on the field over there, it's encouraging. And let me thank you for coming by, and let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.